We had a lot of phone calls in the first segment, so we don't have much time with Sean Callahan and Husker Online, but we're gonna get through
Sean,
it as fast as we can.
He's going to be pissed at me.
That's okay. Well, we're used to that. You know? All right. People are always pissed at us. It's fine. Joined by Husker Online, Sean Callahan. Sean, good morning. Did you believe yesterday that the media was more pointed with its questions at Mickey Joseph than they were with Scott Frost over the last couple of years?
No, I just think Mickey's quicker with his answers, and it just kind of forces you. I mean, when you trim down his bites, they're like 12, 15 seconds after you kind of cut out the space. So he's very quick with what he says, and then it just kind of causes you to fire back quicker, and then there's more questions. We went 15 minutes or whatever it was, but
15.
There's a lot of questions in there because he doesn't really circle around too much on his answers.
No, and Sean, I think that leads maybe to a better back. Would you say that the back and forth is more productive? Okay, I totally led you into it, but it seems to me like that the back and forth with Mickey with reporters is a little more. It's more productive than it was with Scott. Do you agree?
Yeah, because I think people feel a little, I don't know what, I can't explain it, but maybe feel a little bit more comfortable with it, or how the flow of it and how it's rolling. But he's pretty pointed with his answers too. He doesn't beat around the bush on a lot of things he says, but he also is very guarded, when it comes to scheme and injury things. It's not like he gives away a lot either.
No, it doesn't. Sean Callahan joins us from HuskerOnline.com. Sean, what did you think of Mickey basically volunteering the notion that he should have slowed the game down and that he should have controlled the tempo and not let that game get out of control? What did you think of that?
Well, I thought it was interesting because you look at the game itself, and there were 12 straight empty offensive possessions, many of which were between 1 and 3 minutes of length, where they had to quickly punt the ball and give it right back and put the defense on the field. And that's just not a winning formula for Nebraska right now. You've got to kind of shorten things down. I mean, go back and look at last year's Oklahoma game, the way Nebraska really limited those possessions in that game. If I remember right, the first quarter in that game, there were only 2 total possessions in that game last year. Both teams had like 6-7 minute drives in the opening quarter in Norman. And this year's game was a completely different style. I know it was different coaches, different teams. But Nebraska tried to go into a shootout with the Sooners, and their defense, in my opinion, was not built for that. And a 14 possession game is way too many possessions to put your defense out there right now for Nebraska.
So going forward, Sean, Indiana next week, Nebraska will play at 6:30 in Lincoln. Do you think you'll see some huddling out of the offense? How do you slow things down offensively and still try to make drives sustained?
Yeah, I think a slower tempo at times, and 14 possessions last week. What is the magic number? Is it more like 10? Is it 11? It's hard to say with the flow of the game, but your defense, the defense has to be in a better position. I mean, they can't, if they want to have any chance in some of these games. We know the deficiencies on the back end of this defense now. We know them at linebacker. We know them at pass rush. Statistics show that you're not going to be able to have much success putting those guys out there that many plays, that many series.
Okay, Sean, it's all been pretty dizzying, right? I mean, it was 103 degrees yesterday. We're still in that part of the, weather pattern, and there's an interim coach and a new defensive coordinator. What do you think of the picture of Mickey Joseph and Bill Busch as his top lieutenant leading this program?
Well, it makes sense. I mean, he comes in now as a new boss, and I think he wants his own managers, and so him and Whipple came in together. No Frost ties as far as working with Frost, and I think when he looks at his defense, he wants his own guy that he knows and trusts that that can run things. And Bill Busch worked with them, as we know, at LSU, and that relationship makes sense. And I almost think that in his mind that this was going to happen no matter what. The Georgia Southern game in a lot of ways did this more than the Oklahoma game. The way they looked in that game and the way they lost to Georgia Southern. But that would have been an awful lot to change in 1 week, a head coach and a coordinator. So maybe let's give it 1 more week and kind of look at things. And that's where they arrived at things last week to make the move and put Bill Busch in charge here on Monday.
Do you think, Sean, that we will see a competitive football team the rest of the season for Nebraska, or are you concerned that the dam is just broken at this point?
Well, they need to figure out how to protect Casey Thompson, and they need to move him around the pocket. They got to run the ball better or run the ball more, and kind of slow the game down a little bit. Their offense can do things, but that offensive line also is not built to protect. Oklahoma blitzed some, but a lot of what they did was stunts and movements on their front four, and it confused the heck out of Nebraska's tackles, and they allowed, several pressures and sacks. So they've got to figure out a way to, do that. And Oklahoma might be one of the better defenses they're going to see, at least until the end of the year when they play teams like Wisconsin and Michigan and Iowa. But they've got to be better in those areas.
Sean, quickly, what is the schedule now for the rest of the week for the Nebraska Cornhusker football team?
Well, it changed a little, I think, from when we talked on Sunday, Sip. They're practicing today, and then they're going to do a little bit of lifting on Thursday, and then the coaches will be out recruiting really starting Wednesday all the way to Saturday. So you'll see Mickey down in Moreno watching O'Marion Miller play in a game, and actually they're playing the high school of A.J. Allen. So he'll be down there at that game, and you'll see a lot of coaches out locally at games they maybe haven't seen recruits or targets locally. I think Carter Nelson in Ainsworth plays in Chambers on Thursday. I wouldn't be surprised if Nebraska has a coach out there too. Sean,
thank you for the time. We will chat with you again next week.
Okay, guys, thanks.
Husker Online, Sean Callahan. By the way, Sean will be out at Tanner's today from 4 to 5 with old school 4 to 6 at Tanner's, 30th and Yankee Hill. Sean will be there for the first hour.
Okay.
4 to 5. Jay Foreman will be there also.
Okay.
Stop on by.
Yeah, maybe
come hang out.
Maybe my schedule will allow that. My intense schedule.
Yeah. Sean's there 4 to 5. We are there 4 to 6.
Tanner's, you're everywhere.
30th and Yankee Hill. Yeah.
What do you get at Tanner's?
Oh my God, so much good stuff. They got good burgers. They got these chicken lips.
Chicken lips.
Yeah, it's like it's not a chicken wing, but it's just a strip of chicken strip, basically a thin chicken strip, grilled or fried.
Okay.
Delicious.
Sounds good.
Yeah. You got a lot of beer.
Okay.
Of course.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Yeah. Thank you to Sean for coming on. And thank you to Outdoors Kevin and Daryl and Jason.
Yes.
And Jason, I would emphasize, keep in mind, Jason, that there's these coaches. The chances are Trev is looking at coaches that are employed. So you can't have a hire right now. And I'm telling you, I doubt that any coach would commit to Nebraska while he's coaching. Because if it ever got out that he was doing that, it would not be a good look for anybody, right? Right?
No, I mean, and yeah, if you think any statement made by a head coach right now about Nebraska is, counts him out, I don't buy it.
For instance,
they have to say, I'm focused on the team I'm with right now.
Well, and they should be focused on the team.
That's
I don't know if I want a guy.
Yeah,
I don't know if I want a guy in here that's messing around with another.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, it probably happens. That's the thing. Somebody's going to get me on that. But Frost at UCF, he knew the conversation was going on, but man, he did not want any part of it. I mean, he did not want any part of it.
Season,
he was locked in. I mean, that's what you want. We're talking about 2017.
Yes.
When they're in a 13, they're in an undefeated run, winning the conference and winning the mythical national championship.
Mythical, yes, they're champs. I wonder if the banner's still up there. You think it's still up in UCF?
I don't know.
I'm going to check that out.
I don't know.